Hi everybody, Father Ed here. We're calling this segment Quarantine Crafts for Holy Week. Actually, even if we weren't in the midst of a pandemic, we want to give you some ideas that you can use in your home to prepare for Holy Week and Easter with your family that might even become traditions, not only this year, but for many years to come. One of the central symbols of Easter for us as Catholic Christians, as well as for Orthodox Christians and many mainline Protestant denominations, is the Easter or Paschal candle. And so today, we're going to show you how you can make your own Paschal candle right at home, using a few things that you probably have around the house already. You'll need some wax paper, some tissue paper, some rubbing alcohol. I know that might be hard to find right now. It's not essential, but if you have it, it's a good thing. And some colorful Sharpies and a hair dryer. And of course, a candle. And these are also, I'm discovering, a little hard to come by these days with all the stores that are closed. So I do have a few extra ones. There won't be any price gouging. You can contact me if you need a candle. So you need a candle. Pillar candle works best for this. And what you want to do before you start is to prepare your candle. So if you do have some rubbing alcohol, you want to take a cloth, put some alcohol on it, and simply wash your candle with the rubbing alcohol. This removes an exterior film that's often found on candles and will help your design to adhere better to the candle itself. So once you rub that alcohol on your candle, you can simply dry it off with your towel. And then you're going to be thinking about the design to put on your Paschal candle. And I want to share with you the traditional symbols that are on the Easter candle. And I've got them right here for you. Central to the design is the cross of Jesus. And as you can see, I have a preference for what we call the Greek cross, which is where the arms are equidistant, but you can do the traditional, what we call the Latin cross, which looks like a T, or you can get as fancy as you want. But the cross kind of goes in the center of the design. Above the cross, as well as below it, are the letters Alpha and Omega, the first and the last letters of the Greek alphabet. In the book of Revelation, Jesus says, "I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end." And so again, all of the symbolism on here points us to Jesus and his work of redemption in our lives. And then the year, usually marked within the four quadrants of the cross. So this year, obviously, is 2020, a year I'm sure we will be remembering for a very long time. So those are the elements of the design of your Easter candle. What you want to do is cut a piece of tissue paper and size it appropriately for your candle. You don't want to cover the whole candle, and you want to leave some space at the top and the bottom. So size it appropriately. And then you're going to cut a piece of wax paper that's a little larger than the piece of tissue paper. And that will go over the tissue paper when you're ready to apply your design. So a square of tissue paper and a slightly larger square of wax paper. And then you're ready to draw your design. I already started one here, and be sure always to put some paper under your tissue paper because the indelible marker will bleed through onto your surface area. And so I've drawn most of the design, and once you get the elements that we talked about, the cross, the Alpha and Omega, the year, you can add other embellishments as well, especially if you're creative. A lamb, flowers. I like olive branches. Because the Greek word for olive, alia, is very close to the Greek word for mercy, eleos. And in the book of Isaiah, we read how God's suffering servant would be crushed for our sins. It's a reference to Jesus himself, who in a sense was crushed through his suffering and death. And so just as the olive is crushed to give forth its oil, Jesus was crushed so that God's mercy, eleos, could flow to us. And so I'm just surrounding my design with some olive branches, brown for the stem. And we'll add some green leaves. Again, you can be as creative as you want with your embellishments. And then you're ready to apply your design. So you place your tissue paper with the design on your candle. Make sure you hold it in place. Cover it with the wax paper, which again should be a little larger than the piece of tissue paper. And now here's where the fun part comes in. You get to use your hair dryer. And so you want to be careful not to burn yourself as you're doing this. And those who are wearing headphones might want to be careful lest the sound of the blow dryer blow you away. But you're going to blow dry your candle. And this will take a few minutes. If you keep it on a fairly high setting, it doesn't really take all that long at all. And you'll kind of know when it's done, when the wax paper essentially disappears and the colors of your design begin to shine through more brightly from underneath the tissue paper. So again, that'll take a little bit of time. But just like on TV, I've got one already finished, and it contains a final element of the Easter candle, which are the 5 nails, recalling the 5 wounds of Christ. They're usually placed at the ends of the cross and in the center. And a good thing to use for those nails, I've discovered, are whole cloves. And maybe you have some, especially if you're getting ready to make that Easter ham at Easter. And to apply the cloves, you want to create a little hole in the candle at the appropriate places. And I found a large paper clip works well. Kids, don't do this at home. This is something for mom and dad. And you want to heat the end of that paper clip, and then you'll use it to make a hole through the wax. You'll pierce through the wax paper and tissue paper, make a hole in the appropriate place, and then carefully put the clove in there. And when the wax dries, it remains pretty firmly in place. So that's how you can create your own Easter candle. We'll be providing some prayers and suggestions to do either on Holy Saturday or Easter Sunday as you light your own Paschal candle at home and celebrate the resurrection of Jesus. A homemade Easter candle. As Martha Stewart would say, it's a good thing.